Okay, I don't know why all of a sudden this microphone is picking up like this noise in the background that's not even there. You know, I'm just like, wow. But that's okay, guys. These recordings are going to get better. I promise you. Alright. Okay, we're 1 week out before I get my first paycheck, and this is going to come to an end. Okay, we're going to get to the point where when I speak, okay, this noise in the background is not there, guys. There's nothing running in my room. And as soon as I bring up this application, my microphone is steadily moving. Okay, which you can see. That's why I have the screen still up. Silent. You see that? You see how it's picking up? I don't understand it. I don't have anything running. Okay? That means when I turn on the switch that's on my desk, it's going to be even worse. So I'm so sorry. I thought I solved my recording issues, but once again, we're back to square one. But at least you can hear me better than before, because the microphone that came on the actual camera, which that stopped working too, which I'm going to end up getting a new one of those. This is not at the moment, but the microphone was one thing. Alright, last time I had a Yeti microphone, and that thing was amazing, and I'm going to end up getting another one, but nonetheless. What we're going to talk about is accessing your device. Okay, so we would love to believe that all we have to do is just plug in a network cable, okay? I plug my device into the network, and bam, we're good. But no, that's not it. Okay, if I want to access my device via the network using network layer 1 physical infrastructure from device to device, and on top of that layer 2 and layer 3 for IP connectivity, okay, that is accessing your device through the network. And we're going to be using terminal lines, okay? Virtual terminal lines, okay? And when I do a telnet to a device that's already sitting on my network, okay? Now this is the second time I'm recording this video, because the first time it had no sound, which again, right off the bat, we're already starting to have problems with this device. I have not had these headphones, not even a month, and we're already having issues. So it's time to upgrade already. But nonetheless, it solved that problem. Our first problem. Now we just got a second one. We got to solve that too. Okay. Now, this came up with a username just like that. Okay. All right. Now, in the first video, okay, what ended up happening was it took a bit, because what ends up happening is when you reboot your PC, whatever is in your tables are gone. Those tables have to be rebuilt. Okay. Now, let me log in here. Now, the first time trying to telnet will be longer, because what's going to be happening, even if I just do a simple ping, okay, and I send out 5 ping requests and waiting for 5 to come back, the first one is going to time out, because what we're waiting for is ARP table to be propagated. I have to send out an ARP request, get that ARP request back, okay, and during the timeout phase of that ping to respond, it will time out before I get that ARP request back. However, the next 4 pings after that, it'll work. Okay, so for the first time you log into the device, okay, don't flip out if just waiting there for a minute, because it might be ARP taking its time, sweet time, propagating the payment. Okay, so alright, we're going to end the fix here by hitting the space bar. Okay, alright, so when we do a show run, alright, now we're in a device now. So what's going to end up happening is, even though the topic is going to be accessing your device, okay, you're going to be learning things as I go on, so it's just going to make the video longer. So try not to get frustrated with me getting off topic, but all the information I'm going to give you is necessary for you to start getting familiar with this device. Notice whenever I do a show run, okay, it gives you a page of information. Now, you can control how many lines this page is via the operating system. Okay, you can make configuration changes, all that. Okay, and every time you need to go to the next page, okay, you hit the space bar. If I want to go line by line, I hit the enter key. Okay, all right. I can hold the enter key and it'll scroll down, or I can hold the space bar and it comes all the way down to the end. And real fast, it starts moving across the screen. All right, now I am able to telnet into this device, meaning that I am creating a virtual terminal session. Okay, we call them VTY lines. And notice that I configured the first 5 lines, okay, with a configuration. All right, line 0. Okay, remember, on a router, you always start with 0. On a switch, you always start with 1. Okay? Alright? Now, that doesn't mean that a switch won't have line 0, because it will. Alright? I was talking about the ports from that perspective. But from a logical perspective, as far as the configurations are concerned, okay, a PC doesn't start with 1 and end with 10. It starts with 0. Okay, so 0 is your first number of any series or any devices. That includes modules, ports, except on a switch will start with port 1. Okay, we're in a switch now, and you see your VTY line starts with line 0. Okay, and this is the configurations for the first 5, 0 to 4. Okay, and here are the rest. Alright, that means if I'm ending with 15, don't forget 0. That means I have 16 virtual lines that I can configure. Okay, and I can configure them line by line separately. Okay, now, as long as they're open lines, I'm able to log in, and as long as they're configured. Now, I can actually go into lines 15 and 5 to 15. Okay, matter of fact, let's do that. Let's say line VTY 5 to 15. Okay, I'm in that line, and I'm going to say no login. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and exit out, or just type it in to get us back to that problem. Okay, exit just gives you out the other level that you're in. Alright, and we're going to discuss these levels. Don't worry about it, don't freak out. Alright, so we're not doing it in this video. Alright, so we're going to go to the end. Now, it has changed from configuration from login to no login. That means only 5 people, virtual lines 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are the only allowed terminals to be active via a login perspective, because the rest of them I want to say no login. Okay, all right, and when you're going to get like a message when you're trying to log in, if the first 5 are occupied, okay, by a session, meaning someone has logged into it, all right, and utilized one of those sessions, okay, when the 5th or the 5th line tries to access, someone's trying to access it, you're going to get a message saying that connection has been closed by the device, all right, or connection has been disconnected, right? Okay, and you have to log into the device to figure out why it's doing that. All right, now these are your virtual terminal lines. What we're going to do is we're going to physically plug into this device. Now, the switch that I have is a Cisco 2950. All right, so yeah. Okay, so let's go to images. Okay, this is the 2950. This is what it looks like on the back. Okay, and then you can tell me that's okay. Let's do this. Okay, they have four pictures. That's much better. Okay, so that's where my port is at, and that's exactly what it looks like. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to plug in my RJ45 into that port, which it already is. The switch is sitting on my desk, it's unpowered. Trust me, you know when it's powered on. Even though it's not loud from my perspective, but from the microphone perspective, okay, it's going to pick up that fan whine, okay, that whining noise, and it's going to be loud from your perspective as I'm recording it, but not from my perspective. Meaning that if, I'm not actually just picking up where we left off before, when I pause the video. Now, I'll pause the recording. So here's my console port. So I'm already plugged into this console port. Okay, so you gotta understand that this method of telnet is virtual. Okay, this plugging it into the actual console port is physical. Now, okay, the program that we're going to use as far as software is concerned, okay, to communicate over the wire into this console port, it's called PuTTY. Now, let's go find it. And all we're going to do is type in PuTTY download. And we're going to go to putty.org. We're not going to go anywhere else. We're not going to go to PuTTyGen. We're not going to go to CHIRK. And, it really ticks me off that people do this. Okay? All right? PuTTY.org has been around since PuTTY. Okay? They're the ones who created PuTTY. Okay? And here's the thing. Okay? Go to the source. All right? I'm going to click PuTTY download. Okay? Now, based on your architecture, whether it is 64 or 32-bit, okay, that's where you're going to select an MSI file to install. You can also download just an exe. The difference between the two is the MSI is going to install the application on the local hard drive, okay, where the exe is just a file that will run in memory, meaning it's still on your local machine, but you have to go to your machine, okay, and go into the directory where you saved it and just double click on it, and now it's in memory and it's running, okay, or as an application, where MSI is going to put it in your program file folder and install bin file, the other file they have, okay, and it is physically locally there. Now, you can take the exe file and put it on a flash drive, okay, and just keep it on a flash drive and run it whenever you feel like it. It's cool as hell. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, one doesn't work better than the other. But with company laptops, there's a thing called group policies. Group policies is an Active Directory feature that controls any PC that's on the domain. So if I want to stop everybody from going in and making changes to Device Manager, which is exactly what I would want to do, I'm going to go into group policies to deny that access across the board on every PC on my domain. So if I have 1,000 PCs, it's as simple as creating and changing the group policy, giving them only read-only rights to Device Manager, so they'll have access to it now, okay, right? But once they walk away from the PC, okay, and the screen comes up, whatever it is, where they have to log in, whether it replicates over a 15-minute period, okay, automatically updating, or it will do it on next login, depending on how Active Directory works from group policy changes. I don't know. I'm not a server guy, okay? Now, if that's the case, at least you got read-only features, okay, like we're going to do now, and go check to see if I have a COM port installed on my PC. Now, in Device Manager, okay, now keep in mind what I'm doing for you, okay? I'm teaching you a skill set. So we're going to be always covering things that happen in the real world. Okay, and this is one of those things, all right? Okay, my PC, I have full access to, okay? It's my PC. However, okay, a company laptop, you don't have that access to do things, okay? Now, you can always request, put in a service ticket to get admin rights, okay? All right? And justify why you need them. Okay, now, you might be denied, or you might, be allowed. If you're allowed, okay, which 9 times out of 10, as a network engineer, you are allowed to do that, because you need to make changes to your life. You need to be powerful with the devices that you have supporting a network. So most likely your admin request for admin rights will be granted. However, they're not going to give you full access. Like, you can't just go into BIOS on your laptop and just make changes. This is going to be password protected. Now, that's not a group policy thing. Okay, all right, that's before Windows are even started, but still at the same time, you're not going to have full access to it. Okay, and they can still control your admin rights on what rights you have still on that laptop. It's not yours, it's theirs. You're using it as a company device, okay? So first thing we do before we go do anything is we go in and see if they're COM ports. Now, they are COM ports here, okay? All right, now, here's the thing. I don't know how the hell, okay, I have a serial over Bluetooth link. I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is, okay? And if I delete them, okay, they will come back. I don't even know what this is either. Okay, all I know is it's not a serial port that is going to allow me to connect to the cable that I plugged in. Now, on the other side of this cable, okay, let's go take a look at this. Okay, I still put a console cable, but same thing. Okay, all right, this is what it looks like. It's always blue, okay, all right, and this is your RJ45 that goes into the console port. This is your 9-pin adapter that goes into a standard COM port. Now, okay, as you see in our device manager, we don't have a serial COM port, even though we have these 3 here, which I have no idea what these are, okay? But it's not a physical connection that I can plug this cable into, okay? So, now, that means, okay, now, before we go any farther, since it's sitting right here, this is what I have. My serial adapter is inside here, meaning I don't need this one, because this is an all-in-one, and it is sweet. Okay, because it works. Windows finds the drivers for it, and it's sweet. Okay, but that's what I use. Okay, and I don't know where to get it from. I don't even know where I got this one from. All I know is I got it. To be honest, I don't even know if I I either purchased it or acquired it from one of my contracts. I have no idea how this became. Oh, you know what? No, this was given to me as a default tool for one of my contracts that I was a network engineer on. And I was allowed to keep it. Okay? That was the cool thing with that contract. Whatever tools they gave you, they were yours. So when they gave you a console cable, because they had millions of them, right? they loved giving them out because they had too many as it was. So that's how I acquired this. Now, so I have no idea where to get it from. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to plug in this device into my USB port on my laptop. Now, you have to understand, okay, this is the first thing I'm ever going to do before I even log into the device, because with no serial port, no nothing. So what you're looking at, what we need to get this cable, because 9 times out of 10, this is what you're going to be handed, okay? We need this adapter somehow. So, a male one for that female to plug into. All right, so USB to serial adapter. Okay, all right. Insignia, they work. Okay, all right. I have a bunch of these, but they're smaller, and those little suckers are pain in the ass. All right, I'm not saying this particular one is, but the ones that I have, they work. Okay, and for the longest time, I was using them because I could not afford, okay, to purchase even a $20 device. All right, and I got those for cheap, like, guys, I'm like $1 a piece. I ended up getting like 10 of them, right? And I always had them on me. All right, but they would stop working after 5 minutes. It would just stop working. So all you had to do was take it out of the USB port, put it back in, okay, and it will work again. All right, annoying, yes, okay, not something ideal. However, hey, it got me through my training. Okay, all right, and that little bit of annoyance definitely was not outweighing the fact that I was able to access the device and make my changes. Okay. Then when I figured out about the access service and telnet, I didn't need these devices anymore. I did everything virtually. However, you're going to find that physically plugging in, okay, during your studies is crucial because one thing you're going to be doing a lot, especially when you just start getting into it, is embracing the entire config and starting off from scratch. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I did that. It's like religiously done. Every time you can't figure something out, you start from scratch. And getting started off from scratch becomes the norm for you until you start getting better and better and better and able to troubleshoot and figure out the problem. Okay, so now let me go ahead and plug this device in. All right. Now, another thing about the device manager, I now know COM 3, 4, and 5 are in there, and none of those are serial ports that I can plug my cable into. So, guess what? They're not going to be used. All right, and I'm going to watch Device Manager refresh, okay, after I plug it in to find out what comes up. And it is COM6, and this is important. So when I go to my PuTTY, okay, now I'm going to change my COM to COM6. Now, if we go into PuTTY, okay, and look at the serial settings under connection, okay, we got some parameters here, all right? And I'm using a 2950 switch. So what we're going to do is we're going to say Cisco 2950 console port. See, I told you I did this video already. This is my second take. So that's what I'm going to look at, okay? Guys, I've been doing networking. I've been in IT since 1994. I've been doing networking since 2009, okay? All right, there's no shame in going in and reading the documentation. In fact, it's the opposite. This is you being detailed, paying attention to detail, and, okay, being an engineer, okay? We don't just, not everything is stored in our memory, okay? And a lot of times we don't store things in our memory on purpose because we know we can always go to online and look the information up because we're going to do it anyway. Okay, I might know the normal settings for COM settings, okay, all right, as a average, but, okay, I'm only going to use that from my mind, okay, from the concept I have no internet connectivity. Otherwise, I'm looking it up, okay, all right, just to make sure. And it gotta take seconds, okay. Now, right off the bat, you're going to notice, okay, components used. Okay, this information is in this documentation is based on the software and hardware versions of 1900s, 2820, 2900s, 2940s, 2950, which is what I have. Okay, all the way up to the 6500s. Now, that means if I don't see 3850 on this switch, on this list. So what does that tell you? Okay, well, 3850, I'm going to have to go look up what their parameters are. Okay? All right, it's just a check. All right, everything could work if you just use the default settings. Everything could. Okay? And yet it couldn't. All right? The thing you don't want to do is assume it's a bad console port and have the device RMA just because you did not put the right parameters in the serial settings, because you didn't take the time to actually look it up on Cisco's documentation. That's horrible. That flat out, that's something you don't want to do. Okay, all right. You just cost time, money, and downtime. Okay, for something that was just literally documented online that you can look up real quick, 3 seconds. Okay, so our bond rate is going to be, okay, which is our speed and our bond. That's going to be 9600. So that's accurate. Our data bits, okay, is going to be 8. That's accurate. Our parity bit is none. That's set to none. And our stop bit is 1. And that's set to 1. Now, here's the thing. Some documentation will tell you to turn off flow control. Now, let's see what this says. Be sure that you have configured your PC or terminal emulator. Okay, that's what this is, a terminal emulator. Okay, the putty software. Alright, software to communicate with the switch via hardware flow control. That means that flow control needs to be on. Otherwise, we will have it none, because some Cisco devices will tell you turn off flow control. Okay? Alright. I've never seen flow control on and on make a difference, but and that might be a lie, because now my memory is recalling some things where I had to turn flow control off, but I just can't pinpoint the incident. Okay, yeah, the way my mind works. And yours is the same way, trust me. So nonetheless, everything is set. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up this serial port on COM6. Okay, now, I can hit enter all day. Nothing. Okay, because there's no device receiving that information to put the device back onto you from an output perspective. Okay, alright, because my device isn't turned off. So let me go ahead, find a power plug, and plug this in. Okay, from my perspective, it's not really loud, but from yours, it probably most likely is. My microphone is all jacked up every day. Okay, I know you can hear that. Okay, now let's see how many. Let's see what happens when I have songs now. This thing. Oh yeah, you can definitely hear that. Okay, now here we go. Now these pound signs. This is actually the compressed bin file being uncompressed. Okay, it's not that big, so decompressing wasn't that bad. Okay, remember our boot processor decompresses the file and throws it in the memory. Okay, now the hardware goes and reads it off the ROM, okay, out of memory, and starts booting the device. Okay, all right, the operating system is already loaded in memory, and it already says press return to start. This is a fast boot. One of the reasons why I like to point that out. Okay, however, an average device can take 15 minutes to boot. So when you're doing a constant ping, okay, if you don't know what the constant ping is, all right, it's your ping command, all right, which I gotta show you because that is my job. So let's 8.8.8.8, which is Google's DNS server. It's always up. So that's always a way of making sure you have a connectivity. And in that connectivity, it's just by pinging this address. I bet you Google's 8.8.8.8 gets bombarded with pings. Okay? Alright? -T. Space -T. With DOS, keep in mind. That's exactly what you're doing in this command window. You're doing this DOS commands. Alright? I don't care that it's Windows 10. Okay? Alright? There's a sense of DOS in the background as far as using DOS as a application as well as an operating system to actually run commands. Alright, so that's a simple DOS command. Ping the IP address and then space -T. You got to have the space. Otherwise the syntax will be wrong. Okay, and we're constantly doing the ping. Okay? Alright? We can change /? Will always be how you figure out what options you have, and these are options. Okay, first of all, you got your ping command, which is sitting here. Okay, and then you have your options, -T, A, and blah, blah, blah. And then here's your legend. Okay, all right, I can do a resolve name, right? So ping, 8. What was it, -A? -A. -A resolves address host name. And I don't know about you, but I don't see that. Oh, you know why? You know why? Hold on a second. But see, that doesn't make any sense because it still resolves it to an IP address. See? It resolves it regardless. I don't know why the -A is even in there. Okay, let's do our count. Okay, R. Alright, but with our count, okay, it doesn't tell me the format, so you gotta kind of figure this out. Okay, record route for count hops. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the one I was talking about. I've never done the R. That's pretty cool. In fact, let's do that. I can't have multiple. That's interesting. Okay, let me go in and let's do a -N. Okay, well, let's just do this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 pings. All right, so -N 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, the 32 bytes in size. All right, so now let's go up and let's find out how to change the size. Okay, that would be a -L. So 32 bytes, I'm going to do 3600. Okay, now, I want you to understand something, okay? We have a maximum transmission unit, okay? And I went over that maximum transmission unit, and on a switch on a Cisco device, the average is 1500. So let's do it this way. They're timing out because it's too much. So let's do a 1400. And there you go. Okay? All right, and I'm going to take out the actual in count for 10 because we don't want to wait that long for stuff. To make our point here. All right, and I'm going to put this to 1500. All right, now let's stop it. Let's do 1480. No. Okay. All right. 1470. All right. Now, notice that 1470 worked. You gotta understand, when I put headers on top of my data, it increases the size of the packet. Okay. So obviously, whatever headers that we're creating, okay, with 1470, I have not hit the maximum transmission unit for a switch to move that data. Okay, make sense? All right, so now, okay, that was your first real in-depth lesson for moving data. Okay, so now, okay, I am now physically in my device. Okay, all right, I have a network card, a USB network card plugged in to my laptop. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in, and watch what happens when I plug it into the switch. Okay, all right, you get a message saying, okay, that FB02, which is the port that I plugged it in now, changed the state to up. Okay, now, let's do it with this one. That's why I hit enter a couple times to see if I lost my session. Well, that's interesting. That is definitely interesting. There we go. I have no idea what I had happened, but hey, I'm over it. Okay, I'm gonna plug this in here. Okay, the message that you saw, I'm plugging into the switch now, that we're actually into right now, and I get nothing. What you have to understand is, whenever you are physically connected into a device, any messages or any log messages, okay, that the console accepts, it gets processed and displays on a screen. However, when you are using a method of virtualization as far as connecting to the device, which we use the BTY lines, okay? All right. I'm not going to see the console messages unless I type in the command terminal monitor. Now here's the thing. Watch what happens when I unplug it. Now it says FAL14 changed the state to down. Okay? Alright, which is the same message I got here when I unplugged it from 2 on the other switch that I'm consoled into physically. Okay? So I can plug it into 14 on this one. But you never saw it come up on port 14 because I was not sending the console messages to my terminal. That's why terminal monitor, it says, hey, send the console messages of that device to my terminal window. Okay, now here's the thing. Anytime with Cisco, all right, I want you to understand that the no command is used in the beginning of every command to disable that command, okay, or turn that feature off. However, terminal, notice I did a question mark here, it gives me all the possible commands past that particular word with a space. If I did it with no space, it's going to complete up to those characters, meaning that if I did it right here, terminal question mark, only terminal is the only command. If I did term question mark, or if I did T question mark, see all those that came up? Those are all the commands that start with T. Alright, so that space where the question mark is important. Okay, however, under our terminal space question mark, look at this. Negates a command or sets its defaults. Negates. That means with this command, I have to say terminal no monitor to turn that feature off. Okay, the only command that will throw you for a loop. Okay, guys, I have never had to use this command except once because I get tired of closing the session and relogging into the session because the login process was a little cumbersome to get into the devices. All right, because you had to have what the hell was it? The username, password, and something else. I can't remember what it was. Okay, but nonetheless, it was annoying. Okay, I wanted to turn the feature off because there was too many console messages coming to the window, and I'm trying to do show command. All right, I had to ask someone, guys, I've probably been in the field for almost 10 years. I've never used that command because once you close, this is a virtual session. Once you close this window, your session is gone. And when I relog into the device, the terminal monitor command is no longer valid. All right, that command is only for the virtual session. Once the session is closed, once you close the window, you have to go back and retype in terminal monitor. Okay? All right, this is not a local device command. This is not a command that is on the local switch that stays on the switch or router. Does that make sense? Okay, it's only a session command. And it's only valid during the time you're in that session. Okay? Alright, so what do we learn? Alright, first of all, we learned always check your console port settings. Okay? You're not going to just plug in and just bring up PuTTY and hit OK on the COM port. Don't get me wrong. I do that all the time. Alright? However, if it does not connect, okay? Because if it connects, great. However, weird stuff might happen. Okay? Are your commands are not taken? This weird behavior. Okay? It might be your flow control settings. It might need to be turned off. So, instead of guessing, just go out and find out what the console port settings are for that device. Okay? Be done with it and go and do your work. Okay? Alright? We also learn how to check Device Manager to find out if there's actually a port in there. Okay? Even if you see a COM port in a serial port with a COM number in Device Manager, but no COM port physically extrudes or sticks out of the laptop for you to plug a console cable in or a D9 connector, okay, guys, or DB9, sorry. Guys, you need a USB to serial port, okay? It's very easy for the laptop to have a COM port show up in BIOS, okay, and be recognized by the Device Manager, but they forgot to actually hook the actual connector to the board. So there's nowhere for you to use that COM port that's showing up in Device Manager. You got to go get a USB to serial device, okay? All right, so that's it. That's how we connect our devices. I'll see you on the next one. Be strong, be determined, be Cisco.